Welcome to Week 14 in Production, Festivals and Other Places to See Theater. I'm Dr. Christiana Moldrum-Harkeledge, and this is Theater 191. This week, you'll watch this introductory video, and then watch several videos about different types of places to see theater and different types of theater, which will be in the next module page. You'll then do the online assessment. You'll also see Tartuffe at the Center for Performing Arts at some point this week between Wednesday night and Sunday afternoon. In class on Thursday, you will do your final small group project, which will be about design. Before class, think about which scene in your play you'd most like to design. So spend a little bit of time thinking about which one you'd like. Where do you go to see theater? Today we're going to go over several different types of places and festivals where you can go to see theater and live performances. During the course of the semester, we've already talked about seeing shows on Broadway and at regional theaters. Broadway in New York City, Broadway is thought of as the United Theater in New York, commonly referred to as Broadway theaters or just Broadway, is commonly thought of as the United States capital for theatrical entertainment. The 41 professional theaters around Times Square in New York City provide some of the highest level of quality entertainment in the country and in the English-speaking world. But that's not the only kind of theater there is out there. We've spent some time talking about Broadway throughout this semester. There are also opportunities to go to the theater in pretty much every major city and minor city throughout the United States. What we have is known as regional theaters. So in Cincinnati, we have things like the Cincinnati Shakespeare Theater or Cincinnati's Playhouse in the Park down here. There's also the Aronoff Center, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that does in a moment. And finally, over here, is the theater complex in Cleveland, which is mostly to point out that you can see professional theater throughout the United States and on Broadway in New York, but you don't have to go to Broadway to see professional theater. Often we'll talk about presenting theater versus producing theater and profit versus non-profit. So here's a little bit of a background in that. A producing theater is a theater that has hired all of the actors and rehearsed and built the play in-house, so within that theater, and it will be performed where it is rehearsed, which is in opposition to a presenting theater, which brings in tours and productions that have already been rehearsed and put together and designed at a different place or as an independent tour that just goes from place to place. That presenting theater will book the tours. They're not responsible for producing the actual theatrical piece. So the Aronoff Center that does all of the Broadway plays down in Cincinnati, they're a presenting house, as opposed to Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, which decides on the full season of shows that they are doing and produces each of them in-house. So things like the national tour of Hamilton, the national tour of Waitress, other major shows that were on Broadway and are now going around the country, those are going to presenting theaters and not a producing theater. So you won't see the national tour of a show, generally speaking, at a producing house like Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park or Cincinnati Shakespeare. Then there's a difference between profit theater and non-profit theater, both of which are interested in making money. So profit theater is often, most of the houses on Broadway are for-profit theater, commercial theater. National tours are commercial theater most of the time. And that means that it's theater that has been produced by a partnership to create one particular show, and profits get divided to investors, which is opposite of a non-profit theater. So our regional theaters, which are mostly our producing theaters, also community theater and schools, and a nonprofit theater, as something like Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, to continue to use our regional theater example, they will produce their full season. They'll decide precisely how many performances of each show they're doing. They likely will not extend. They also support staff members and an operating board, and they generally have 501c3 status, and they have an obligation to educate and engage with the public around them. They can make a profit, but that income goes back into the company for operating expenses and does not necessarily get divided into profits for investors. And that's the big difference between nonprofit theater and profit theater. Nonprofit theater is also going to ask for donations, which is not something that commercial or profit theater can do. So where else do you see theater besides Broadway and regional theaters? The answer is all kinds of places. You're going to watch a series of videos about other places beyond Broadway and regional theater where you can go see a lot of new works or older works. You'll watch a video about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Often cities will have fringe festivals, which means that it's new work, strange work, underproduced works, all kinds of interesting things. I recommend going to see fringe festivals. There's one in Cincinnati next month, so if you're around, go catch a couple shows. The video about the Edinburgh Fringe Festival will do a better job sort of giving you a sense of what a fringe festival does. You'll also watch a few videos about summer festival theaters. You'll watch a video about the Williamstown Theatre Festival, which is a strictly summer stock theater festival, and also a video about the Shaw Festival in Ontario, Canada. These are two different types of models, so pay attention to what's similar and what's different about the two festivals. There's also children's festivals, theatrical outreach, and community theater. Never underestimate the value of community theater. If you like doing theater and you don't want to do it professionally, but you still want to be involved, go out and meet some people and try out for community theater. It is a wonderful way to find new friends in a new city. You'll also watch a short video about theater in prison and watch some prisoners figure some things out through a production of Hamlet. And your final video for this week will be a short video about sensory overload for theatrical patrons with autism and other sensory overload issues, and the strides that theater is making in that kind of outreach. So again, after this video, you will watch the rest of the videos in the next page on the module. You'll then take the online assessment. And finally, if you are so inclined, you can take a survey, which will be linked in our week's overview, if you'd like to find out about opportunities to be involved with the department next year, especially for credit, because we do 200 credit in experiential learning. So if you'd like to be involved with that, we will put you on our email list if you'd like to sign up through the survey. See you on Thursday. Take care.